Tech Talk Live for Tuesday with GB3 is starting now. Don't know exactly what the time is, but you guys let me know. And we're coming on now. I'm gonna let it warm up a second. I got some good stuff to go over today. I'm gonna talk to you about titanium and versus stainless and why. I'm gonna talk to you about cylinder heads. I'm gonna talk to you about piston design and a couple other little cool ideas that we've been working on that I'm excited about. And I really appreciate you guys, you know, coming on and watching this program grow and these opportunities. I'm gonna try my best. I see you guys speaking to me, Ray and Michael and all them guys, and you guys all the way from California, David and Roger and all them guys. I see y'all, Joe, John, Bob, Richard. There's a lot of folks, Lonnie, some good friends, man, lots of good friends, some old friends, some new friends. Mark, I just want you guys to know how much I appreciate you. I'm gonna try my best not to read the comments while I talk because I'm old. And I have a hard time focusing anyway, trying to do about 20 things at one time. So Jackie tells me when she watches these in review, she says, you sure jump around a lot, but man, my brain is like that. Hey, Charlie, my brain jumps around. Hi, John. When my brain jumps around like this, I don't know what to do about it other than jump around. So if you guys can deal with that jumping around, that's gonna be me. That's my style. That's what I do. I'm a little bit jumpy. I'm gonna keep doing these for you guys. I enjoy them, and I want to also share with you folks that you guys are sending me some wonderful feedback. You're asking me great questions. I've had some people ask me a lot of things about what different things mean, and there's no way I can cover all this in 20 minutes. But if you keep giving me good feedback, I'll keep making notes and try to address that stuff as it comes up. Also, my family and friends told me that I jumped around a lot at the when I was at the airport looking, but man, I don't have any golf. I used to. I probably could still play, but I'm too busy right now to worry about it. But when I retire, I'll play golf. When I'm at the airport, I have a hard time looking at my phone because when I look at this phone right now, all I see is me, and I've been seeing myself in the mirror for my whole life, and I usually look away. But when you do this right here, I could turn the phone around and not see me, but then maybe I wouldn't see what you see. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm learning. I'm gonna close this door. I know it's getting time. Let's get this clock too. Yep, it's getting real close to 6 o'clock. I've got the Facebook official timepiece. And like I said, I got some good notes to go over. First thing I wanted to tell you guys was, please keep the cards and letters coming, man. And I want you to know that the things I'm going to talk to you about, the things I talk about here, I think this is like Tech Talk number 12, maybe. Monica, I have been emailing these to Monica, and she is loading them on YouTube. And so I'm trying my best to, hey JJ, Chris, I'm trying to keep this in like a catalog by the week. I do them every 7 days, Jamie, Robert. I do these by the week. So I'm doing them by date. Now I looked at the calendar. I haven't missed one on a Tuesday yet. Even last week I was in the airport in Tennessee, and the time came and we were still unloading the plane, and I got a little nervous about it. I said, I got to do this, man. There's people that tune in. There's people that pull over the side of the interstate. There's folks that stop what they're doing and expect to see it, and that's good. I love it. I'm thankful for that. And I know it's 3 o'clock in California, and I know it's middle of the night in other parts of the world, but there's a lot of people interested in this stuff, and I don't know where else we can really go over this. But this is not just for Harleys, y'all. This is engines. This is dynamics of acceleration and power to the ground. We're going to talk about gearing a little bit. I got some ideas on gearing. Keep thinking of ideas, so I'm gonna write notes this time instead of trying to jump around. But anyway, on the board, I copied the numbers off 2 of our best time slips in our career. I've got Bagzilla, that's my red bagger that I run, and won my best 2 out of 3 match race with Gaddafi 2 weeks ago. This is the best run I made. It was a 152 60 foot, a 398, a 330, a 604 and an 8, and a 935 and a quarter. Also, if you'll look over here, our Pro Stock bike is still the standing record in NHRA for a 2-valve engine, 104, 281, 430, and 673. Now, has anybody gone better than a 104? Yes. Has anybody gone better than a 281? Maybe. Has anybody gone better than a 430? There may have been a 29 out there with a 4-valve Harley. 673.0, I know that's the best so far. We set that record in 2016. We're using the same gasoline, same tire, same everything, same weight. We retired, and we retired at the right time. We retired when it was time to be finished with this. The mark's still been standing since 2016. Do I believe it will stand long? No, but I would have lost money that this 673.0 wouldn't have been broken in the last 3 or 4 years. I thought for sure it would. Next time the air's good and they got a good tailwind, this 673.0 will be broken. We got Suzuki's running 670s now. I've seen 3 different Suzuki's run 670s this year. I've seen 4 or 5 V-twins going 670, so I think it's going to just a matter of time. I wanted to also tell you that what I have learned here, as we talked about it the other day, let's see, time slip versus time. Let me make a note, time slip versus time. This is for cars, motorcycles, trucks, everything you drag race, because it's an acceleration contest. The tire, the vehicle, and the racetrack. That sprayed or unprepared racetrack doesn't know the difference between a motorcycle and a car. Those infrared beams that start the clocks and stop the clocks don't know the difference between a car, a motorcycle, or a truck, or anything you race. Snowmobiles. This is all very applicable. There's one thing that really gets in the way over here, and I'll put it off to the side. Eventually, I'm going to go to the bottom of the page and show you, but I'm going to make sure I got my math right, so if I make a mistake, you folks, listen. If I make a mistake, it's because I'm live. Think about me, man. Live. An old guy. Scared to talk in public. Not really. I'm learning. Somebody wrote me a note the other day and said, man, you were jumping around and struggling in your first 2 times, and now you're walking through airports talking. I am more comfortable now. I'm used to seeing myself on this little screen, and Jackie gets the looks in our family, and Julie, and I just trying to do my part to help out, you know. All right, let's get down to the nuts and bolts. Somebody's asked me lots about, what are you talking about, this 64, 65, 66% of your ET? This is an amazing stat right here. This 935 is 100% of my run in the quarter mile. I went 1,320 feet, 9.35 seconds, okay? My first 60 feet was 1.52. The 330 from the starting line to here was 3.98. And from the starting line to the 8th mile was 604. And from the starting line to the finish line at 1320 was 935. Now look, please everybody with a Suzuki and a Kawasaki and a Chevrolet and a LS and a Hemi and Supercharged and Pro Mods are all way faster than this, okay? I'm good with that. I understand. But given Backzilla, this is the best run Backzilla, not best run George Bryce ever made, not best run any Harley ever made. Just understand this, okay? This is the part that's so cool, is the first 1/8 of a mile was 604. I did the math. I divided 398 divided by 604, and I got 65.8%. 65.8. That's from the 8th mile, no, from the 330, no, start over. The 6 seconds it took to go to the 660, 65.8% of the time was used up getting to the 330, y'all. And here's the other part of it, 64.5. I know I don't write that good. 64.5%. What's 64.5%? That's the percentage of the time I spent in this 9.35 ET getting to the 1/8 of a mile. So look at this, y'all. 65%, almost 65% of my run. The first half of the 8th mile was 65%, and the first half of the quarter mile was 64.5%. That's astounding. Is anybody seeing this? Now, yes, that's a no wheelie bar street tire bagger. Let's go over here to the best pro stock run. Now, this is NHRA 2016, won a 104. Yes, I said they've been better, 281, 430, and a 673. This is our own personal motorcycle from Star Racing. This is the one that 3-time champion Angelle Sampey, she raced this at Sonoma in 2016. This is still her career best run, and it's our career best run, okay? They'll break it. They're going faster. They're running better. But I want to tell you, this 281 is, hang on, 65.3%. Please forgive my writing. 65.3% of the 8th mile. Went 430 in the first 660, but 65.3% of that 430 was used up getting to the 330 clock. 64%, I know it's a fifth grader can do better than that. But the quarter mile, 6.73, 64% of that time was spent going 430. So what do we got here? We got 65, 64, 65, 64. This is a no wheelie bar, 200 horsepower engine. This is a wheelie bar, 10-inch tire, 630 pound V-twin, 65 and 64%. All right, what's my point? Well, let's do some more math. Let's go to Larry McBride. He set the all-time top fuel record this weekend. He had a 101 60 foot. He went a 258 to the 330. He went a 375 in the 8th, which is unreal, with one back tire, y'all. One back tire. He went a 375 in the 8th, and he went a 560 in the quarter mile. How much percent of his time does he spend getting up to speed? I did the math for you. The first 1/8 of a mile, 68%, 68% was spent getting to the first high. 68% of his 3.75 was spent getting to the 330 clock. 68%. Down here where he went 200, oh, I got to get over here, I'm left-handed. Y'all, he went 212 in the 8th, and he went 263 in the quarter. Can y'all see this? I'm on the floor now. I don't know if y'all can see this, but anyway, 560 in the quarter mile. From the starting line to the 1320, it took him 5.6 seconds to get that 1/2 ton, 1.5 ton monster to 263 miles an hour. This 560, 66.9% was spent of this quarter mile time was spent getting to the 1/8 of a mile. That means that his back half, this is 2/8. This is 1/8 and this is the other 1/8. This 1/8 took 375. This 1/8 right here, you subtract 375 from 560, it's 1.8 seconds left. That's all he's got left in the back half. So 66% of his time. Look at this, y'all. The second 1/8, there's 2 1/8s in the quarter mile. Larry went that fast. The first 1/8, he did it in 3.7 seconds. The second 1/8, he did it in 1.8 seconds. So where would I spend my time if I was him? I would spend my time working on 66.9% of the run, because he's already got this right here beat. I don't know who's going to beat that. But there may be 100th left here in the world, but there's where he's going to get his next numbers from. It's going to be in this first 66.9. These pro stock guys right here, they're going 2.4 in the back. This one's going 3.3 in the back. Out of 9 seconds, 9.3, there's only 3 seconds in the last 1/8. Over here on a pro stocker, there's only 2 seconds left. 2 seconds left in the back 1/8. My point here is, let's work on the part that needs the help to improve your ET. Why am I sharing this? This is not news to me, y'all. I've been doing this for a long, long time. And drag racing is not a mile-an-hour contest. That's what you do at Bonneville. at drag racing, it's an acceleration contest. I think that we need to do a good job where we're going the slowest. What that means is, I don't know how much better a Pro Stocker is going to go here. It has no overhang for the front fender to stop the clocks like a Pro Stock car. It has no overhang. Larry McBride's, he went a 101 60 foot. That's with 40 inches less on a Pro Stock car to accelerate. This right here would be in the 0.9s with it if it had a 40-inch fender on it to stop the clocks at the 60 foot. This would be a 0.9 on Larry's run if he had a fender going over the wheel to block it. But what I wanted to show y'all that's interesting here is if you look at what Larry has proven, is the higher speed you go, I don't know if you can see this. Let me let it back down. I'm sorry to jump around, y'all. But the higher speed you go, 100 mile an hour here, 200 mile an hour, 300 mile an hour here, the amount of power and effort it takes goes up exponentially. A lot of smart guys know this. I know that's why it's so hard to go fast on top speed, because we're pushing a brick compared to a Pro Stock car or whatever. So the faster Larry goes, the harder it is, the more time it takes to go, because it's not very aerodynamic as far as compared to other vehicles. So I wanted to share this. I know this is this seems like maybe some kind of boring to you guys, but look, it's more to it than, and this brings up the second point I want to talk to you about is gearing. Okay, every day, customers, friends, clients, potential clients, they call me up and say, George, I'm just going through in fourth, or I'm going through in fifth. I got my best 60-foot time. I want to, see, a guy just asked me, what can you do to improve aerodynamics? Okay, if I was Larry and I wanted to improve aerodynamics, why would I spend money and time to pick up 1/100th in the back half when the 66 or 68% of the work is done when he's going slow? There's only 20 or 30% left to work. It's just nothing to gain there. This right here is the most unaerodynamic Pro Stock motorcycle that ever raced. It's that old Buell that everybody hates. Suzuki's are more aerodynamic. The Harleys are more aerodynamic because they have less frontal area. The EBRs are more aerodynamic because they have less frontal area and they're very slippery. But there's nothing to gain here. 64% is spent in the front half of the run. This is before even 160 miles an hour. From 160 to 200 miles an hour, there's only 36% work left to do. Gearing. George, I just click into fifth going across the finish line. Okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want to gear for the finish line? Because if you gear for the finish line, does that mean you want to add a lot of teeth to the back, or do you want to go down on the front, which is 3 teeth on the back, so that you are winding fifth gear out at the finish line? Please do not disregard what this first 65% of your 8th mile is. The first almost 66% of the first 8th mile is used up getting to the 3:30 clock. 3:30 takes up 66% of your time. Getting to the 8th mile takes up 64% of your time. Down here at the finish line, there's only 3 seconds left to fix. So if you need to gear it for here, you need to gear it for here, and you have 6 gears to get here. You have a 5-speed. You need to gear it for here, and then you need to go through, use whatever gear you got. 5 gears to get here. All right. So what does that mean? What is all this saying to you? If you turn over backwards in first and second gear, you got to take teeth off. If you smoke the tire all the way through first and second, you got to take teeth off. If you go through in 4th gear, but your ET is quicker, who cares what sprocket you got on it? This is the bottom line. If you're racing 8th mile, this is the bottom line. If you're racing quarter mile, this is the bottom line. Not the 60 foot, not the 330, but this percentage is important. And you gear for where you're going the slowest. When I say slowest, I'm talking about where you're spending the most time. The biggest place to improve is where you're spending the most time. At the finish line, you're spending this much. Oh, if you're spending this much time, what can you gain here? If you're going slow in the first eighth mile, you have this much time. This camera's got me wobbed up. You have this much time to work. That's a lot of room to work. At the finish line, you have this much time to improve. But nobody calls me up and say, George, how do I gear for the starting line? Not one person. Not one. Every single person calls me up and says, George, what sprocket should I be running because I'm going through in fifth? What sprocket should I be running because I'm going through in sixth? Write me questions on that, y'all, because I might be missing what y'all are thinking, but that's how I do my work. I break it down where it counts. I work on what really needs to be done. Okay, we spent money with this motorcycle in the wind tunnel in 2005, 2007. We spent money in the wind tunnel. Guess what we picked up? 1 mile an hour, 0 ET. We picked up 1 mile an hour, 0 ET. If we had gone to Bonneville and they did a flying mile on us, give us 6 miles to get going, and then they measure us in the last mile, we probably would have shown some gain. But look, y'all, it was wasted money in the wind tunnel. Compared to me, compared to us, compared to what we do, that's not where we need to work. We need to work where the potential gain is the most. Somebody ever said, work on what needs improving? Well, you need to identify what that is that needs to be improved. If we're going out the back door here at 120 miles an hour in the eighth, and we only go 140 in the quarter, that means that it took us a half of a track to get up to 120, and it took us another half of the track to get 20 mile an hour. And somebody says that Larry's been better than this. Yes, he has. Larry's been better than this. No. Larry's been better than this. No. These are world records right here. 375 and the 8. Don't matter about this. Don't matter about this. Don't matter about this. This is the record. 560. I saw it on the internet, so it's got to be true. Dragbike.com, Larry McBride, Spider-Man, that whole team did an awesome job covering it. I saw it on Cycle Drag. I saw it on all that cool stuff. So they have the time slips posted. People have the videos. I probably bet 20 people videoed his bike going 560. I think he went a 562, maybe a 561, but I know it was awesome. Gearing. Gear for where you're spending the most time. Don't gear for where you're spending the least time. Listen to me, say it again. Gear for where you're spending the most time. Don't gear for where you're spending the least amount of time. If you spend your efforts and your money and your time where you're spending the least amount of time, you're going to get the least amount of gain. Where you have the most room to gain, that's where you're going to get the most gain. Okay, I preached on that. Crazy. All right, before we run out of time, I want to talk something to you real quick about another one that I had here is pistons. Custom pistons, okay? We buy pistons, we buy generic pistons. I got some samples here. Generic pistons, what's a generic piston? Okay, you look it up on the internet, you look up Wiseco, you look up HP, you look up CP, you look up a couple of other piston companies that have really nice Harley pistons. CP does a great job. Diamond does a good job. Wiseco does a good job. JE does a good job. MTC does a nice job. Here is a CP piston, okay? This is a CP. I call this a catalog generic piston. This is something that has a part number. It's on the shelf. It's at CP. Call them up. We have them. They have them. It's very well priced. This is, you get the whole kit for less than $400. You get the kit for $300 something with really nice rings, really nice wrist pins and clips, and it comes well packaged. I think it might even be $300 something for a kit. That's a great deal. Now, if you need more than this, we would do a custom design piston. Or you look up on the internet, you look in the catalog and it says they don't offer a size you need. So when you call up CP or Wiseco and you say, I need a piston that's not in your catalog, and they say, oh, you need a custom piston. Okay, well, a custom piston, my words, custom piston, is something that they don't have. Oh, sorry about my hand. Something that's not in the catalog, okay? So that must mean custom if it's not in the catalog. All right, maybe I got the camera right now. It's not in the catalog, so it's got to be custom. Problem is, when you call them up and order them, I want a piston just like this, but I want it this size, and I want valves a little bigger than this, and I want this, and I want this, and I got to have this TDC lift, and this TDC lift, and you call that a custom piston. That's what people call a custom piston. Okay, let me tell you what a custom piston is. A custom piston is where you call out all the numbers. Ringland clearance, ringland width, ringland depth, where the gas ports go, how deep the grooves go, how far apart they go, what size ring. You got to get exact ring measurements. And when I order custom order pistons, I go straight to Total Seal and I make sure they have the rings. If Total Seal doesn't have the rings, it don't matter how cool a piston you do. You got to buy rings that can be bought. And if they can't be bought on the shelf, then you have to have custom rings made. So a guy at Total Seal told me one day, he said, you got to call me first. If I have a certain piston that I need, like in our Pro Stocker, I needed different bore sizes, I had to get a ring. Was no ring, so we had to design rings for our Pro Stocker. It was 5.14 inches. Way bigger than this, 5.14 inches. That's over 5 inches. That's bigger than any car piston. Bigger than any 1,000 cubic inch Pro Mod piston. It's a big piston, all right? This piston is custom because we called out the ring locations, we called out the ring diameter, ringland diameter, we called out the second ringland diameter, we called out a third ringland diameter, we called out the compression height, dome diameter, valve size, valve pocket depth. This is a custom piston, all right? When I order custom pistons for a job, I fill out, I get 30 numbers. I have to come up with 30 numbers. So it's a service that I offer that if you wanted, you can get me to design a piston for you and order custom pistons. They don't cost that much. It's $150 more for a nice custom set of pistons. There's only 2 pistons. You get a nice custom set. They're $150 more than a really good generic piston. But some people want more than this. This has no gas ports. This has big rings. This has an RPM limit. This piston's RPM limit is 1 to 2,000 RPM higher than a generic piston, okay? I charge $100 to draw up a custom piston for you. If you get me to buy them for you, the total package will be like $600. That's $495 for the piston kit and $100 for me to draw it up. That's a custom piston. If anybody ever wants something better than you can buy in a catalog, these are awesome. Do not quote me saying that this beautiful CP 4-inch piston is not awesome, because it is. We use it in a lot of kits. This is our go-by, day-to-day business piston. We also have our Star Racing piston. They're custom made to our specs, all the numbers, all the clearances, all the thickness, gas ports, valve pockets, dome diameter, dome volume. These pockets right here take negative dome, so we had to have this is a +10 dome. That's CCs. We can get any compression ratio you want. I can help you with all those pistons you guys have out there that have the wrist pins. The rings are so big and they're so in the wrong place that they hang over into the wrist pin. So then they have this ring lock groove spacer. It's a pretty horrible thing that would work good on an air compressor. Look, companies that have really nice pistons, S&S sells nice pistons. Most of them are made by Wiseco. Some of them are made by CP, and they're good. They have a nice piston, but look, they have generic rings. They have generic designs. They're very old school ringlands. They have old school clearances, and we dictate these. I have turned into a bit of a piston reader in my days after all these engines we built. This Pro Stock deal right here, in 2016, we had 13 different piston designs that went through this program. Every time we got engine apart and looked at it, I could read what needed to change next. The guys got tired of me ordering pistons with teeny little changes and moving this and moving that. But this motorcycle right here, Bagzilla, I'm gonna lose. this is the last thing I'm gonna do. I got to roll, y'all. Time's up. I appreciate all y'all watching. But Bagzilla right here goes 935 and 146 miles an hour. This has a breather on it. It has a crankcase breather. It has a little nipple, a little 1/4-inch nipple comes out of the valve cover, and it has a hose going to the back. There is no blow-by. None. Zero. Nothing comes out of the breather. No oil comes out. It doesn't blow oil. Whenever you have oil blowing, you have a ring seal problem. Milwaukee 8s have a real bad problem going on by people putting aftermarket generic piston kits. Yes, you go on the internet and you look on your phone and you say, ooh, look, a 128 kit. Ooh, look, a 131 kit. And you order those generic parts and they seal worse than stock. I, myself, have seen Stage 4 Harleys have more blow-by and more sumping problem than the stock Harleys. It's not, what changed in the engine? This changed in the engine. Bagzilla, no blow-by. Nothing comes out of the hose. On the dyno, we were running at 7,500 RPM. We got a little flow meter with a little ball in it that goes up and down, has 1 CFM. The ball doesn't even move, y'all. No blow-by. All the compression and all the pressure goes on top of the cylinder. It makes the crank turn. None's blowing by and blowing out of the hoses. None comes out of the air cleaner. None comes out of the breathers. There's no need. It's interesting to me as a gearhead as we learn, and it's all about this and how we prepare the cylinders, boring home, keeping them round, keeping them straight, putting the correct finish on them, and using the right ring. And hear me, last thing, braking procedure, huge. Driving around slow and idling around and cruising around at 500 miles with no load glazes the rings and causes problems. So if you're interested in any of this and you want to know more about it, send me a note. Tell me what you want to know about. We'll cover it. But my catalog of opportunities and information is huge. I have a lot to share. I'm like the insurance man. We know a lot because we've seen a lot, and we've burned up a lot. All of these are 2618 alloy, and in 40 years, Thanksgiving will be 40 years we've been in stock, and we've burned more pistons than probably anybody you know. And I don't run nitro. If I ran nitro, I probably wouldn't even be able. I wouldn't even need an intercooler for anything in my engine. I would only need an intercooler for my wallet because it would run hot. Credit cards run hot when you run nitro. I'm preaching to the choir, the boys that know what I'm talking about, because if you run nitro, you are burning up some stuff. Learning and burning. Today, take care of each other. We're all we got. Y'all, we're brothers in speed. We're sisters and brothers in speed. We love the same stuff. Thank you very much for watching. Please send cards and letters and emails and PM me. Let me know what to talk about next. I'm so thankful y'all watch. Praise God. Thank you. Amen. Bye.